I will let Miss Alyssa Bicar take it away. And everybody, just to let you know, if you're watching this on Facebook, I think we're set up that you can comment, you can ask questions. And then I'll pass those on to Alyssa, and we'll have open Q&A at the end of it. All right, Alyssa, are you all ready to go?
Ready, Dave.
All right, take it away. I'm going to mute myself and get my ugly bug off the screen.
Oh, please don't go. A face made for radio. Just kidding. I love you, Dave. Thank you so much for having me here. I am excited to be here to talk to you about hosting private networks to raise private capital. My name is Alyssa Bicar, the consultress, and I'm here to talk to you today about creating a private community of people who are eager and waiting to fund your deals. But first, a little bit of background on what's possible. We're mom and pop real estate investors, aren't we? We have to allow people to have exposure to us, just like people who are in business have regular exposure to people to garner strategic partnerships and to allow people exposure to them and what they do day in and day out in their business. So I approached raising capital as a business model, and that's what I'm here to share with you today, to create something that allows people to have trust in us. Not only do people do business with people they know, they do business with people who they know, that they also like, and that they trust. So this formula that I'm about to share with you helps people to accelerate down that know, like, and trust funnel, not only just around you as a person, but around you as a real estate investor. So we want to create that consistency for them, that they have exposure over time to what we're up to, not just one time, showing them a pitch deck of that beautiful presentation that Dave and his team had helped me create right at the outset, but also to create consistent communications with people to allow them time and the ability to learn piece at a time what I was up to and how it could affect and empower them. So they're all there listening to you. They're coming to your private network space to learn about the returns and the security that investing in real estate offers. So you also have this ability to say, hey, you're here because I've invited you, because you've heard that I'm investing in real estate and I'm doing amazing things for myself and for my family. And I'd love to introduce you to what I'm up to. And I want to put together a group of people who are similarly interested, that come from different careers, backgrounds, interest levels. So not only do we create a conversation around what I am up to, but you're also extending that olive branch out into the world, out into the community, creating a private community to have people get to know one another so that they can be both served as well as come and have their curiosity satisfied and leave empowered. As you can see yourself creating that experience, I just want you to try this visualization on. You see yourself creating conversations in a room of about 5 to 10 people. You are conducting a conversation that allows everybody to ask questions, but also share what they're about, share what they're up to, and leave with resources, just like you want to leave with resources, funded deals, and people who can partner with you, because we all know that real estate is not a solo business. Anybody out there ever done a deal all by their bitty lonesome without help for deal flow or strategic partnering or swinging the hammers or getting the project scope together, or getting the money, right? This is a team sport. So let's see yourself in that room, creating conversations and creating a space where everyone has the opportunity to say what they're up to, get feedback and resources from one another, and leave the room served. So this gives you a place where you become an elevated person in the room because you're serving. You're creating a space where people can come and know what you are up to, learn about you, but also it elevates you to someone important in their life where they feel they can trust and come to you and the people that you know so that they can have their needs met as well. So people do business with people they know, like, and trust. The way that they trust you is you show up and you do what you say and you say what you do. So maybe these people have known you from other areas of life, from your career. Then maybe you're a teacher and they are also teachers that are looking for something better to do with their capital. Or maybe they're entrepreneurs just like you and they're looking for a way to become a real estate investor, but you have a couple of pieces that they might need to add to their puzzle. So this is what is possible. When I say that it's possible to create a private network for yourself, In fact, it is what I have been doing for myself in my business at large for a dozen years or more. It is the number one tool that I have used to build business, create relationships, and attract clients. So it works in all different areas, but specifically, I wanted to share with you, what worked for me to raise capital. As Dave said, I raised $1.5 million my first 18 months in business to raise capital for my own deals and projects. When the pandemic came, I was pivoting my business coaching practice into real estate. And so the world shut everybody down just as I was like ready to get started and hit the pavement. So it put everybody into our own little boxes, just like you may be out there in Facebook or in Zoom room or watching this on a replay. It put us all in separate spaces. So I started hosting these meetings as a very brand new real estate investor to get started because I needed to have access to people and what they knew. Yeah, my family was in real estate and my family was in business, but here I was putting my own money where my own mouth was. And I needed to have people around me so that I could understand what their needs were, but also have a place to workshop my conversation, speak about what deals or what issues I was having. And that very meeting that I held on a weekly basis for the first at least 8 months, but probably for about a year and a half from the time of pandemic, allowed me to build the relationships that funded my first few deals. And again, it turned people from having intrigue to putting them in motion. And with the money they wanted to invest and deals that they wanted to share. So I created a room full of other potential real estate investors, other realtors who had deal flow, people who were in the lending space. I brought all these people together that are part of what creates a team to make deals work and created a community so that they had access to one another. So not only were they being supported if they had deal flow and had something to sell or something they needed to buy, they were being supported and invested in financially and emotionally. And I too got to have that same effect for me. So I want to expose you here to that format and say that it's very possible for you to do this just with having a handful of people regularly and making it a habit. That's the number one thing that I want to impress upon you is when you're hosting something like this, to create something that is predictable, that people can come to rely on and expect. Again, that's another piece that elevates you in their mind, that you're reliable and that you're trustworthy. And that is the baseline of where all business is done. Again, they can know you and like you, but unless they trust you, no business is being done. So what I want to give to you here is you to become an active community resource and build this community around you and what you're up to, given the networks that you all have. You may be in business and out there networking. This is what brings networking to a place of real expansiveness, because you're truly building relationships here. It's not all about what you know, it's about who you know and who really cares about investing and supporting, empowering you. So why host a private network? Again, to elevate yourself to a leadership status, but to also create the momentum and the fanfare of people knowing what you're up to and being able to tell other people. So it creates a mechanism, an engine, a business system that's repeatable, where people can come back to and reference time and time again and say, you know what? I trust that she is in real estate because I met her out here on the playground homeschooling my kids. That's part of my story. I've used this format when I made any big pivots in my life. But now I know she's in real estate. This is really cool. So it allows a place for people to get to know you in this real estate investor role. And again, in a place of leadership and empowerment. So what I'm going to show you right now is how to do that. I have a very simple framework that allows you to build your strategy, identify the ideal people who should be in your room, and go about marketing it in a way that allows you to invest in people as you invite them to your space. So it creates a win-win scenario for everybody involved. So this very formula, by the way, I learned a dozen years ago, training in to be a human potential trainer with the one and only Jack Canfield. And I didn't realize this was going to be my number one business tool to be able to host community like this and really deepen all of my relationships. But I learned this because mastermind your way to success is one of the things we hear out there, but we don't really get to understand what a mastermind truly is until you get in the motion and in cahoots with creating people of like mind that have a similar purpose or that have a similar interest. And for you and for me, it was about creating an environment around investing in real estate that really made this come to life. It's the same mechanism that the greats like that Napoleon Hill wrote about in Think and Grow Rich, the Carnegies and the other captains of industry who attribute this very formula to their successes and their spoils and what made them be able to make great decisions, because two heads are better than one and five heads are better than two, as long as the structure creates positive momentum, accountability, and agility. So what I will show you here is you want to know your strategy. Why is it that you're hosting these meetings? I assume because you're on this call that you're looking to grow your real estate investment business, and perhaps particularly to grow your pocket of investors who know that you are open for business and looking for money to be able to borrow and deploy in your investments. So knowing your strategy is crucial to identifying your ideal attendee, and then allowing yourself to just workshop and brainstorm, who do I know who is interested in or already involved in investing in real estate. This is step one in my simple methodology that helps you to think through and deploy this strategy. Strategy first, then identify the ideal participants who you want to invite to your meeting and who you want to invite to your space. Who's going to help you deal make? Who's going to help you fund your deals? Who's going to help you identify risks or identify other potential players that can make your deal work? And also now marketing. So the first three pieces of this simple framework are the mechanics of business. These are the best practices that I deploy in my business coaching at large, is knowing the mechanics and the metrics of what it takes to be able to build systems and a systematic approach to building that consistency that breeds trust. Your marketing by invitation makes people feel special, makes people feel wanted, and it invites them and engages them to understand what it is that you're about. So now that we're here in strategy, ideal, and then marketing by invitation, we then tip over to the people side of the business, because we know that real estate investing is a team sport. And nobody gets successful alone, not one of us. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And that's what the P in this simple framework really stands for. It's all about the partnerships, investing in the people and investing in the relationships where you can provide value and they can provide value to you as well. From the partnerships, you also are now leveraging your leadership. You're showing up in a space willing to serve, willing to demonstrate and exemplify what it means to be a trusted person, a trusted professional in your space. And empowering is the last piece. The E is empowering and uplifting everybody who comes, so that when they come to your private network space, they leave better than they arrived. And what do people do when they feel empowered? They show up again, and they show up again. So this framework here, again, the leadership piece, I can teach you all the mechanics to hosting this type of space. And what I will share with you is what you are is what you attract. So this simple framework is not only a mechanism to hosting a private network, it's kind of a living as a business and entrepreneur philosophy at large. So when you're hosting these spaces, when you're inviting people to come in, this framework that has been used for decades, centuries, and beyond has very specific components. You want to keep this meeting moving along in a very positive way and in a way that empowers people. How many of us have been in a meeting where someone grabs a mic and just drones on and on and on? Sorry, are you still awake out there? Just saying, it can get very trite listening to the same person speaking all the time. So this format allows people to first express themselves when they come in. You want to start with a round of new and good. I hope you're taking notes. If you're not, I do have a handout at the end that I will offer for you to connect with me to get. But you want to be able to say, what's new and good in your life? What are you celebrating? So that you're engaging people who come to this network, whether it be hosted on Zoom like I did or in person, and say, what are you celebrating? What's good? What can we applaud you for? Because when we as humans acknowledge what is good, we actually turn on all of the light bulbs in our brain that allows us to grow, expand, and learn more. So you're giving people what they need to be able to know what you're about, kind of on the sly, but also giving them the best opportunity to connect with themselves and be happy and engaged in your meeting. Once you do a round of what is new and good, what are you celebrating? Then we move into a space that's called, what are you working on and how can we support you? Where as a facilitator, you now pass the microphone around the room and you give participants equal time to be able to distinctly in a minute or two describe what they're up to, and then allow people in the room to connect with one another. I know someone who can help with that, or I've been in your shoes, right? Because what we are trying to create is an engaging environment where we're not the guru up front that has all the answers, although we do have some of the answers, and that's our reason for hosting, right? But we want everyone to be able to bring themselves to the table professionally and personally. It creates a really nice dovetail effect that allows people to become more sticky inside of this community, which is what you want. They want to come back time and time again. Once they describe what they want, you give people the opportunity to respond, to provide resources, to say, I have someone I can connect you with. And this is where the rubber meets the road. After everyone has had a turn to say what they're up to, including you, hey, I've got this deal that I'm working on, or I am looking for partners to be able to get deal flow in a new marketplace. People are then giving to you, so they feel more inclined to receive from you as well. And this place now has, if you're on Zoom, you have a chat room full of resources, phone numbers, emails, and everyone's going to be able to leave connected with one another and access to other people's resources community, which by the way, that also includes you, right? All that I've been saying here is you are hosting this meeting, but you are also host and participant at the same time. It levels the playing field of being a guru and a student. That's not what this format is for. It is to create equanimity and community so that people have the ability to both give and receive and grow together, because it's raising the tide. When you raise the tide, so lifts all boats, or something to that effect. So your last piece, the last mechanic of this meeting is to close out going around the room in the same direction again and asking people to provide a commitment to stretch and to express their gratitude for someone or something they heard inside that meeting. What this does is the gratitude helps people open back up to all the positivity and all of the resources and insights they've just received and really anchor them for themselves inside of their thinking, but also in their heart. We know most decisions are made from emotion, so it really grounds this as a very emotionally powerful experience for folks. And the commitment that is made, once you declare something that you are committed to and you have expressed it to other people, and yes, by the way, that includes you as facilitator too, right? We're all growing together. It also makes it more tangible. It makes it more accessible, and it gives you a measure of accountability. So when people leave this forum and then they come back time and time again, as you host this on a regular basis, people come back to what is new and good based on what they committed to the time before. And you get to provide updates. So people are tracking not only their own growth and story, but yours too. And so in doing this, you can have a private network launched and up and running within 6 weeks' time. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes some effort and some guidance and accountability so that you too are making a declaration and you're holding people accountable in a loving way that says, I want you to be here so that you can hear me and witness me as I invest in real estate, but also come share in the joy of when we celebrate our wins or when we have things that we are stuck with or places where we're mired in the mud, where we can now have other people's experiences and perspectives that helps lift us out of stuck. Anybody got stuck in building this business of real estate investing before? I mean, like everybody's all hands and legs should be going up right now because that's a human nature. When we're doing something new, we are doing something that is unfamiliar to us and we're more likely to be afraid and get stuck. This format helps us to be able to overcome those hurdles, but also do it from a place of service and leadership. And we're empowering the community of people who are now loving the vibe and sticking with each other. And then, by the way, perhaps helping each other put together deals. And you too. This is not a zero-sum game. So I'm going to turn this over back to Dave if you have any questions, but I invite you to check this out. I have this handout for you so that you can walk yourself through and do it yourself as you want to establish this type of meeting. Or I encourage you to come and book an appointment with me after I've given you this thing, and let's talk about how this might work for you in your business. Thanks a million for being here. And Dave, what questions do we have?
Good stuff. So thanks very much, Alyssa. Maybe just show everybody what you've got and remind them what it is and how they can get it.
Okay, so this is the Host Private Networks to Raise Private Capital outline of the 6-week boot camp to bring you from interested to in motion in creating this private community. It gives you a list of why you would host your private network, what the benefits are to you, and the step-by-step guide to establish it over a 6-week period of how to do it for yourself and what steps are all involved that I've gone over here today.
And how can people get it?
Oh, I would love for you to send me a direct message. If you could see my name down here, you can find me on all sorts of social at Consultress. My favorite places to hang out are on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook and Instagram. So send me a direct message there with the word bootcamp, and I will send you this handout. Or you can email me directly at Alissa, ALISSA, at theconsultress.com.
All right. Very good. So you guys, if you're on Zoom land, which a number of you are, feel free to type in your question in the question box or put up your hand and we'll get you unmuted. You can ask it live, but we've got some questions that have come in. It's one of the questions is, realistically, what if somebody's going to do this, what is the time commitment involved? You talk about 6 weeks to get it set up and running, but then what? Like once you've got it up and running, how much time do you have to put aside a week to not just hold the meeting, but do you continue to promote the meeting? How does that look typically?
So I would say you probably need at least 2 hours a week to focus on the building side of it, to be able to put it into motion with identifying the people you want to come to the meeting, making sure you have a regular date and time established, and then sharing that with people and having and building up, the attendance to that first one, but then making it a repeatable event. So a lot of that is going to be structure, strategy, and then execution. I would say probably 2, maybe 3 hours a week, depending on how fast you want to build it. And then over time, it really just becomes a weekly engagement to be live on that meeting, and then what resources follow to follow up naturally. So it's going to bring you business activity that if you've already planned for that, having conversations with private and private capital lenders, that you have time in your schedule to be able to do that, because it will create leads for you.
All right. Very good. Now, who are the right people to invite to your meeting? And the other question I have is like, what's the ideal size number of people?
Very good question. So this formula works best with 6 to 8 people in the room consistently. So where I've hosted it on a weekly basis, I have guest days that I invite more than the regular amount of people, but it caps out about 8 because you want people to have enough time to hear what you're up to, but also say what they're up to and be served as well. Beyond 8, it gets a little wily. And what was the second part of your question?
No, that was it. That was the number of people who, and then who are the right people to invite? Like,
Right on. So when I first started, again, I was in business coaching and consulting, pivoting into real estate investment. I invited other people that I met at real estate investor meetups, the local RIA events, other digital events that were being hosted online. Since I was hosting it virtually, I invited them to my digital space. You can do this in person as well, just the commute is a lot less if you're able to facilitate it online. Because Dave, I don't know how long it takes to commute to Canada for me, but being in Mastermind with you, this is a very, very short trip. So who else? I would say, so for me, again, when I first started hosting them, other realtors that were involved in getting investment deal flow. So realtors who specialize in serving other investors, so that you can meet who they know. Perhaps you can make them look good by having them invite their clients to a meeting or two with you. So it creates that consistency and community, but other people who are involved in investment real estate or who are interested in it. So folks from your previous job, from places where you've walked, that you have a natural network of pool of people inviting those folks to your meetup as well, especially if they're interested in getting a good return on their money with something that's really securely backed, which is why most of us invest in real estate, to preserve that capital.
All right. So if we're looking, the ideal 6 to 8 people, what have you found is kind of the sweet spot as far as the total number of people that you've kind of got in your pool? Because I would imagine, especially if you're doing this weekly, you don't have everybody showing up every single week. So you got people kind of coming and going. What was your experience with that?
So it depends on where you are in your investment journey. So once I got some deals funded and a pool full of people who were already invested with me, my frequency changed to monthly for updates
Mm.
on existing projects, what projects I had coming up, what questions they had, and what they were learning about as well. So changing the frequency depending on how established you are. And this isn't just a do it once thing. I now host multiple mastermind formats to be able to accommodate the different types of people who are in my universe. So this is like do it once, do it great, and then maybe sprinkle in a few more. So meeting on a weekly basis, I would say having a grouping of about 10 to 16 on your first round around, having a list of 16 people who you want to invite who have said they're interested, and then getting the commitment to come. That's a really great place to start because it's double the capacity. And we know from being in business,
Mm.
you invite double the amount of people you want to say yes, and then the conversion from yes to showing up, you're winding up there at that sweet spot between 6 and 8.
Yeah, very good. And I would imagine that you had a few real keeners that just showed up week after week after week after week, and then other folks that kind of flitted in and out. Uh, what did you find, because you're working with busy professionals? Is there any particular day and time that tends to be better? You do it during the day, you do it in the evenings, you do it on weekends. What kind of works there?
So for the people who are real estate entrepreneurs or people who are in the business of real estate, during the work week actually and during the work day works really well because this is already part of their business model. So they consider it like having a lunch with a prospective client. This fits right in line with what they're doing for their pursuit of business anyway. For folks who are professionals who are looking to deploy private capital with you, if you're simply looking to create a space for people that is interested and you want to learn from each other and you, evenings and weekends are really great. My Saturday morning mastermind experience has been probably one of the longest, and we still meet on a weekly basis. So
Nice.
having, yeah, so that's for the international crowd as well. If you're in the US, the best timing for these meetings, especially if you're attracting a global community to you, is Eastern, somewhere around 11 a.m. And if you're looking at folks that are in Europe, remember they go to bed right around the time it's about 4 or 5 o'clock here. So that 11 to 4 window is appropriate for, everywhere from Hawaii, although that might be really early for them, all the way through to like Europe, etc. That time frame I found works really well. And for people who are local to you, who are professionals, who that you are meeting in your day-to-day walking of life, I would also recommend evenings.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Good pointers. Now, yeah. So the consistent, maybe unwrap that a little bit more about you started off weekly and then eventually it whittled down to monthly. You've got a number of networks going at the same time. What do you like if somebody's just getting started with this? What would you recommend, weekly or monthly?
Weekly for sure.
Yeah.
I recommend because to get a regular cadence that's repeatable and consistent, if you're hosting every other week or once a month, if somebody misses one meeting, that could be 60 days before you get another touch point with them.
Yeah.
Hosting on a weekly basis where it's like Monday nights at 6, Monday nights at 6, people start to be able to build their schedule around the expectation that one of these days or one of these weeks are coming. Then they can actually feel that they have a consistent place to experience you. So I do recommend starting off with weekly because it's going to give you the most momentum, accountability, and consistency throughout it all.
Awesome. Very good. All right. I think that's pretty much it. It sounds like Zoom is your preferred way of doing this. That just makes a ton of sense. Simplifies the heck out of it. If you're tending to attract more self-employed or business owner type folks during doing these during the day. I would guess around, if they're mostly local, around lunchtime might work really, really well because they're accustomed to that anyhow. If you're working with professionals or people that are employed at other people's businesses, evenings and weekends tend to work well. Sounds like you've spread your wings internationally, so you got that dialed in as well. Good stuff. So, Alyssa, thank you very much for sharing your experience here today. And again, just a reminder, you guys, Alyssa's put together a handout for you. You can get that by reaching out to her on social media at Consultress. That's her handle on all places social, or you can email her. What's your email address again, Alyssa?
It's Alyssa with an I, ALISSA at theconsultress.com.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody that was on here live. If you're watching the replay, I'll put in Alyssa's contact information in the contacts, in the comments. All right. Very good. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday.
So long. Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.